Alright, howdy there folks, me again, Brandon Wenzel, your guide into all things martial arts cinema related. And before I go into why I'm standing up, I wanted to start off my little thing here by a couple little endorsements on my part. First, again, Traditions.us, awesome clothing line done by Don the Dragon Wilson. I wanted to... Yay! Wanted to pimp that again. Also, Mr. Don the Dragon Wilson and Cynthia Rothrock, the lovely Cynthia Rothrock, are doing a film together called The Martial Arts Kid. Oh, you can actually see what the hell I'm doing. Called The Martial Arts Kid. They have a Kickstarter campaign. I have a link to it on my page, not only on my personal page, but on my I Know Kung Fu page. And I also wanted to give a shout out to, I think it's Jay Lee. It's spelled J-A-E space L-E-E, who is making an awesome martial arts cinema-related video game. He has a page for it on Facebook called Kings of Kung Fu, all one word, Kings of Kung Fu. It has a Kickstarter page as well. If you can, please contribute. I told these folks that I would go ahead and do this on my channel, and I am trying to be a man of my word, and so in that regard, I've done so not only because I try to be a man of my word, but also because I legitimately believe in these projects. I have in fact contributed to both. I may in fact end up contributing more to hopefully help get these things off the ground. So please contribute if you can, if you love these things like I do. Yay! So, okay. Now, you might be wondering yourself, right? Brandon, why are you standing up? What are you doing? Alright, you're over here, you're standing up. You're doing, well, I'm just a guy. I'm just a reviewer guy. I'm just doing my thing. And, I mean, I'm over here and just, you know, walking around doing my thing. But even great Kung Fu master like me, I might be going along, you know, one day I might just be over there and be like, oh no! Oh no! You saw it, folks. I've been maimed. I am now thoroughly one-armed. Damn. But luckily for you folks, I know Kung Fu. And so since I know Kung Fu, I shall continue on as the one-armed reviewer. But I mean, even for a Kung Fu master like me, continuing on with only one arm, that's going to be tough. If only there were a film that could help inspire me. Does such a film exist? Well, folks, it turns out that it does. That film is, of course, Boom! The One Armed Swordsman, starring Boom! Jimmy Wang Yu, and directed by Boom! The Master Chang Che, and produced by Boom! The Shaw Brothers. Shaw is the law, folks. And, so that's going to be my review, of course, in honor of my maiming. I, of course, had to do this epic film. But aside from my maiming, why else am I doing this film? Well, a few reasons. I'm going to go into that real quick. If any of you watched my intro video, which none of you did, which is entirely your fault, partially my fault, partially YouTube's fault, because for whatever reason it didn't register right, but it is up on my I Know Kung Fu page, so really you have no excuse now. So if you want to be devout students of my awesome martial arts school, by the way, that is not a sound effect. I don't have a budget for sound effects. It's just my awesome Bruce Lee moment, just my awesome knuckles. Which, by the way, I'm going to shore something up here, okay? Does not mean that that's like onset arthritis or anything like that. That is a long-standing myth that people continue to buy into, and I've talked to, not various, but a handful of medical professionals, and all of them have discounted that. It's just cool, and it can eventually lead to your grip being a little bit sucky later on. But it's cool right now. So anyway, so why am I doing this film, right? Well, like I said, if you watch my intro video, in my intro video, I said, of course, that I am a big fan of all things martial arts cinema related, and I am. And I love pretty much every genre of the genre. And, but as I was looking over my reviews, I started to realize I've been fairly one-sided in most of my reviews, and that a lot of them have been kind of similar. Not all, but a lot of them. And that wasn't fair. And so I decided, since that was the case, I was going to do a complete 180 on this. And so instead of going over there and doing, you know, generally a modern American-made martial arts film, which, again, fair chunk of my reviews have been. I was going to go completely the opposite end. I was going to do One Armed Swordsman, which was not made in America, and certainly isn't exactly modern film. It was made in 1967, and it was made in Hong Kong. But on top of all that, it moves into a completely new category that I haven't touched on yet. That is, of course, the wuxia film. Now, maybe you're not the most adept person when it comes to this whole kung fu thing. I understand, okay? That's why you're here. You're under my tutelage, my one-armed tutelage. And so I have to go over there and I have to teach you. So what is wuxia, you ask? Well, wuxia were epic swordplay films that sort of predated martial arts films as we know them. And like I said, I haven't really touched on this particular genre. And so I figured now would be a great time, and boy oh boy, this would be a great fucking movie to do so. Because, of course, I've been maimed. Damn! But on top of that, this is just an epic fucking movie, and so this is what I'm reviewing today. In honor of my much-lamented right arm. Oh, damn. So, let's get into it. One-armed synapses. Synapses. So like I said, film, made in 1967, like I said, boom. Directed by the master, Cheng Che, and starring, of course, the one, the only, Mr. Jimmy Wang Yu. Who, boy oh boy, do I wish I could go into everything about Jimmy Wang Yu, but I'm going to go into that into my special features thing. So please watch that after the fact. And please support the things that I brought up in the beginning, traditions.us, Martial Arts Kid, and Kings of Kung Fu. Please do that. If you enjoy my films, and if you can. But anyway, shameless plugs. But you know what? I don't care. I really do. You know what? I don't care. I really enjoy those things. Anyway, so on to the film, as it were. As it were, is, was, and are. So, awesome little epic film, starring the amazing Jimmy Wang Yu. He plays this guy, right? He's this guy. His named Fang Gong. And he's doing his thing. He's just a kid when the film starts out. And, you know, his dad, he works under this, you know, excellent swords master, played by the amazing Tian Fang. He's a swords master of the golden sword style, school. And he's doing his thing. He's this righteous swordsman guy, just doing righteous swordsman things. How awesome is that? That's pretty damn awesome. And, but unfortunately, even the good guys aren't making enemies, usually of bad guys. Usually of bad guys who are willing to do douchebag nefarious things like, I don't know, go over there and send this poor guy a letter that's cased in poison that knocks him out. Oh no! So what's going to happen? Surely the master will fall now that he's been paralyzed by his enemies, but wait. Just so happens that Fang Gong's father, who happens to be a servant there, well, he takes up sword, and, as it were. By the way, don't ask why I have a machete. You don't need to know why I have a machete. That is not relevant to this video. But I do. But he takes up sword and proceeds to defend his master's honor and, well, his life. But in the process, well, his sword is broken and, unfortunately, he dies. And his last request to his master is, you know, look, I know I'm just a servant and all that stuff, and really, you don't owe me all that much, but I did kind of save your life, so if you could maybe take care of my son, because his mom is gone, and I'm doomed. So, that would be cool. And since Tian Fang, aka the master of the school, isn't a giant piece of shit, he of course agrees. By the way, if you go over there and you defend your master to the death, and your only request is, hey look, if you could please take up my, you know, orphan son now, and he refuses, well, he's a terrible fucking master, okay? Because I, Sifu Brandon, okay, if something tragic were to happen to you folks, even being the one-armed reviewer that I am, if you need me to take in your kid, well, I'm not going to do that, but I'm not as cool as Tian Fang, so in any case, the main character grows up under the tutelage and martial training of Mr. Tian Fang, who teaches him all of his badass swordsman stuff. He's doing his thing, but fortunately, turns out that Tian Fang, he has this daughter who's a bit of a spoiled brat, played by the lovely, absolutely lovely, Violet Pan Ying-zi. Yeah, Violet Pan Ying-zi. And like I said, she's a bit of a spoiled brat, and she really likes to kind of get Fang Gang's goat because she's a bitch. Really no other way to put it about it. I don't know why is, when a woman does her thing, she's a bitch. No, she's a bitch. She's just a bitch. If you've seen this, you know she's a bitch. But in any case, but no, she kind of torments poor Fang Gang and makes him cut wood and stuff like that. Really just because she's a bitch. And on top of that, turns out that, most, or at least two, of the Master's disciples, well, they don't really like Fang Gang too much, because despite the fact that his dad oh so valiantly defended the school and his teacher died for it, well, they're, the sons of noblemen and stuff like that, and his father was a lowly servant. And so they're gonna fuck with him. But Fang Gang resists the urge to go over there and slap a bitch, and eventually just decides, look, I'm just causing problems here. I gotta get the fuck out of Dodge. I don't want to cause problems for my teacher. I need to go do my own thing. So he proceeds to leave, but things are never that easy, folks. Because, of course, Queen Bitch herself and her two dingus companions show up. Dingai, as they are. They show up, and they gotta cause problems for poor Fang Gang. And, I mean, he's just a dude. He's just doing his thing. So, they're over there just fucking with the poor guy, and, he just wants to leave. But they decide, well, if you're leaving, then you're a traitor, even though we pushed you to it, and so we gotta go over there and kick your ass. Well, he's Fang Gang, so he goes over there and he slaps some bitches around and makes them look all silly. Eventually it comes down to a final duel between Fang Gang and Miss Violet Pan Ying-zi. But of course, Fang Gang, being the good guy that he is, not wanting to harm his master's daughter, even if she is a bit of a bitch, he proceeds to say, look, if we have to do this, let's do it unarmed. Let's do this unarmed. Pun power. Because I don't want to accidentally hurt you. And so let's do it like that. Well, he's Fang Gang and she's a spoiled brat, and so he kind of makes her look silly, and, she gets knocked down, and him being the nice guy that he is, he's like, look, sorry about that. Let me offer you a helping hand. There we go. Oh, wait! Thing! Wow, you really can't see it very well. Slow-mo. Thing! And all of a sudden, he's feeling a little bit lighter because his right arm is thoroughly on the ground. Oh, fuck. Yes, in fact, Queen Cunt, as it were, dismembers the poor son of a bitch. And, but he's doing alright, he's getting along, making his way, blood loss and whatnot, and proceeds to fall into a creek. Well, a boat in a creek, anyway. And, so, not so great times for our main character. And, of course, the master shows up, and he's like, what the fuck do you people do? Why did you go over there and... I was just about to go over there and name that guy as my successor, and have him married off to the chick, and this whole thing. What the fuck are you people doing? You all just suck. Anyway, he's, of course, presumed dead, but of course he isn't, because then he wouldn't have a film. So, he's still alive. Why is he still alive? Well, the boat that he fell into just so happened to belong to some very nice villagers, one of whom is played by the absolutely lovely, the Lisa Chow Chow, who proceeds to go over there and nurse the main character back to health, and he's doing a lot better, right? I mean, he wakes up and he's not happy that he's missing an arm, particularly being a swordsman. It kind of fucks your day up when your sword-fighting arm is now gone. But he gets along pretty well. He learns how to fish. He can fish. He's doing his whole thing. Well, in the meantime, which I'm going to be saying a lot, by the way, because the film goes back and forth. In the meantime, did I mention enemies? I did mention enemies. Well, it turns out that one of the master's enemies is this dude guy, or this dude guy. This guy calls himself the Long-Armed Devil, and he's a real prick. Turns out that he's developed a weapon that can go over there and defeat the golden swords of the main character's school. Comes up with this nifty little badass thing called the Sword Catcher, which goes over there, locks the sword in position, then allows them to go over there with a knife and cut across. And they're working their plans. Because it turns out that the Master's 55th birthday is about to come about, and, well, he's going to go over there and choose his successor, and Fan Gong is dead. I can only do air quotes with one hand. So I have to do it twice. But since he's dead, well, you know, he's got to choose somebody else. So all of his students have to show up for this whole thing, for his whole big celebration, and this seems like perfect opportunity for Mr. Long-Armed Devil to go over there and get his revenge for being defeated by Tian Fang 2 years ago. And on top of that, he's got his martial brother with him, this dude named Smiling Tiger, who's a prick. And he's got his goons, played by Lau Carlong and Tong Gai. Oh yes. And I'm not even going to go into them right now. I'm going to go to them in my special features thing, which please watch, if you were so inclined. But they're working nefarious stuff. But in the meantime, main character's over there. He's feeling all insignificant and stuff because, you know, one arm and all, can't really do anything. Top of that, he's getting pushed around by goons. Oh no, goons. And who just so happen to work for Smiling Tiger and all that. And Smiling Tiger's all, what are you idiots doing? You're gonna fuck up my plans. Stop that shit. Because goons, if you don't know my standpoint on goons, watch my review for American Samurai. I go into goons a little bit there. It's good times. Anyway, so since the main character is feeling pretty pitiful about himself right now, the lovely Lisa Chow Chow, she decides, look, you're pathetic. Just so happens, I have a martial arts book. Just so happens, was burning up in a fire. Just so happens, only the techniques for the left arm are left. Great little coincidence, right? Right. So all you have to do is go over there and study this book, and you'll become a badass again. And so what does he do? Well, that's what he does. He's over there, he's breaking trees without even touching them, and putting his putting his handprints in rocks and stuff, and all kinds of cool shit. But he's a swordsman. What's he gonna do? He can't really go over there and use his golden blade. It's too heavy. It just doesn't work well for when you have one arm and limited balance because you only have one arm. But wait, didn't his dad have a broken sword? He did. And did Fan Gong keep it? He did! It turns out that his father's broken sword, well, it just so happens to be the best damn weapon around for a guy with only one damn arm. So he trains and becomes even more badass than ever. But in the meantime, there's goons afoot. They're doing goonish douchebag things. They've been killing off Tian Fang's students and stuff like that, and a couple of them decide, hey, that looks like Violet Peng Yingzi, aka the Master's daughter. And I bet if we could get a hold of her, plus her two dingai companions over there, that'd put us in a pretty damn good position. So they go over there, cause a ruckus, this whole thing. They grab her, proceed to kill the two dingai, and now they've got her. Let's put the main character in a bit of a spot, because, of course, this is the daughter of his master. And he doesn't want his master to lose face. And there's probably no better way for your master to lose face than for, you know, his daughter to go over there and be raped and murdered. Really, the only way to exceed that from that point on is really to just add people to the list in relation to the person losing face who are therein raped and or murdered. Case in point, it would be bad if his daughter were raped and murdered. It would be worse if his wife and daughter were raped and murdered. But then it just goes on and on. Cousins and aunts and uncles and friends. That's not the case. No, they just managed to grab her. Well, the main character is in a bit of a spot, and but he figures, look, I know I said that I wasn't going to do the whole martial arts thing, and I was going to live with you, Lisa Chow Chow, and I was going to be a farmer, but I kind of needed to handle this. So he proceeds to storm the main villain's base, mask in tow. Only mask that I have on hand. No, he did not dress up in a Jason mask, but that's okay. He shows up mask in tow, and goons are over there about to be all molestin-like. What are you doing, Goon? Why are goons always molesting somebody? Seriously. But they're about to get to some hardcore molesting when the main character shows up and decides, you know what? I think you bitches don't need hands. And thus they don't. And despite his sneakiness with the mask, well, it turns out that Miss Violet Pan-Ying-zi isn't an idiot. Like apparently everybody who knows Superman, who manages to get away with just wearing glasses. But she recognizes him despite the mask, and she's all over there like, look, I always loved you, that's why I was a bit of a bitch, this, that, and the other thing, and I know you always loved me, that's why you were kind of standoffish. And, but unfortunately bitches be crazy, because it turns out that Lisa Chow Chow is over there. She hears this whole thing, she goes running off. Main character is like, look, Violet Pan-Ying-zi, you're completely wrong. I wasn't all standoffish and stuff because I loved you. I was standoffish and stuff because you're a bitch. And I hated you, and I wanted nothing to do with you. And the only reason why I stuck around was because your master was a good guy, and the only reason why I saved you is to repay my debt to him. So you can go suck it. I have to go fix things with my lady friend here now. Thanks, whore. So he runs off to go fix things with Lisa Chow Chow, and Violet Pan-Ying-zi goes back to her father to warn him about this whole thing. So this whole thing starts coming to a head, and, you know, there's more people who get, you know, more students that get killed by, you know, One Armed Devil and Smiling Tiger and all that stuff, and, you know, main character ends up finding out about this whole nefarious plot, and again, despite the fact that he's like, look, farmer thing and all that stuff, I gotta go do this. I'm sorry. I know that I said I wasn't going to, but I have to. It's kind of a thing, otherwise lots of people are going to be butchered and die. So, One Armed Devil shows up at the villa that main character's master has with all of his students over there, and, well, they start fucking shit up because they've got Tongai and Larkalong on their side. And trust me, if you have those two on your side, you're going to fuck some bitches up. One Armed Devil's all over there. He's all been sneaky and stuff like that. He reveals to be none other than the amazing Shaw Brothers actor, Young Chi-hing. Yeah, Young Chi-hing. And he's all over there with his sword catchers and stuff like that, and he's just fucking everybody's day up and all that stuff, and doesn't look too good. The master goes over there, he wields his golden sword, he manages to do pretty well, but unfortunately, you know, One Armed Devil, he's a pretty crafty guy. And, so he manages to go over there and maim him pretty bad. Though not as badly maimed as I, or the main character, Jimmy Wang Yu. Not as badly as either of us, but, things aren't looking good. I mean, he's only got 2 disciples left by the end of this, and, but then Jimmy Wang Yu shows up in classic Shaw Brothers fashion, all badass and stuff, after having just killed Smiling Tiger on a bridge, because Smiling Tiger's on a bridge. He's like, dude, I gotta stop you. And Jimmy Wang Yu's like, I'll be honest with you, man, I'm not feeling it, dude. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna gut you and go ahead and boot your ass into the river. So, the One Armed Swordsman squares off with the One Armed Devil. By the way, I've watched this movie probably about 10 times at least, plus with the commentary on, and as far as I can tell, that's the first time that I've made that connection. The One Armed Swordsman fights the One Armed Devil. Very clever on their part, and even clever on my part for actually noticing that after 10 times of watching it. But they didn't bring it up in the commentary, and the people who did the commentary know even more about these movies than I did. Well, at least at the time when I first started watching it. I might know more about them now. Anyway, so they square off, they kick some ass, they do their whole thing, and, well, Jimmy Wang Yu's, you know, Jimmy Wang Yu, he kills Larkalong and Tongai, and, One Armed Devil's like, damn, my sword catcher is useless because, as it turns out, not only is his broken sword the perfect weapon for him to use and be an awesome badass anyway, but it turns out because it's broken, it doesn't get caught by these sword-catching things and makes them useless. Oh, damn. So he goes over there, fucks up a bitch or two, takes down the One Armed Devil, vows, you know, to be a farmer and do his whole thing, which he breaks because there's a second movie. And in the meantime, the Master Tiang Fang's over there. He breaks his sword. He's all, in classic Shaw Brothers fashion. And so that's pretty much the film here, folks. And so, okay, let's go into it a little bit, right? Let's do a little good and the bad and that whole thing. All right. So, this film, this one right here, is... I know I wasn't quite as exuberant about it as I am sometimes with some of these films, which I am personally going to blame to the circulation loss of my nub, as it were, since I certainly don't have an arm there anymore. You all saw it. But I love this film. This is an amazing film. I mean, it's not for everybody. I will completely admit that. It's very much done in the old style. One of the things that is often cited against it is the choreography is a bit dated by today's standards. You have to remember, folks, martial arts choreography was a progression of things, and this took some time. Jimmy Wang Yu, the lead actor, who is utterly amazing, not really a martial artist to speak of, and so sometimes, again, that's kind of held against the film. I don't agree. This is a film that you'll either love or hate this film. That is really what it has come down to for me in talking to other people about this film. Some people love the film for what it is, some people hate the film for what it is, and some people hate the film for what it isn't, which I think is completely unfair. If you don't like the film, fine, but, anyway. So let's go into some of the good and the bad here. I'm running a little bit late. The good. The film, if you are familiar with the Shaw Brothers films, this film is a huge epic. It is a absolute linchpin point in the history of Shaw Brothers. It was the first film to gross $1 million, Hong Kong dollars. It helped absolutely super catapult the careers of Jimmy Wang Yu and Cheng Che, as well as Lau Kar-Long and Tong Gai. It really kind of set in motion kind of a turning point between what we know as wuxia films and what would eventually become martial arts films. Though to be fair to King Hu's classic Come Drink With Me, that was probably the first film that was in that light. But this one really kind of took it a bit further, in my opinion. The film really plays, if you watch it, really plays less like a wuxia film and more like a samurai film. Even, if you look at Jimmy Wang Yu, he has kind of a samurai-ish appearance. And it works particularly well for him. Jimmy Wang Yu not always held in the highest regard as an actor, but really was the perfect guy for this. Very much a working-class hero type of guy that Jimmy Wang Yu is. And just sort of the silent badass. And particularly with only having one arm and, being able to, having his broken sword, really has to kind of fight more in the context of a samurai than, again, the classic wushu styles, very shing and whereas with him, it's very much one or two strikes because, well, he can't spend a lot of time blocking and parrying, he only has one arm. Other good things. I mean, if you're a fan of Shaw Brothers films, you will love this film. Chances are you'll love this film for everything that it does, because it does everything that great Shaw Brothers films do. Particularly when you think back to 1967, really no other Hong Kong film company was able to do the things it was able to do. The cinematography, I mean, the way that they were able to get the glimmer on the lights of the eyes. I mean, Cheng Che really was an absolute master of his craft, and maybe wasn't exactly on the top of his game, because he did, certainly progress as a director, but this was definitely one of his highlight periods, one of his highlight films. This was sort of the beginning of his best, in my opinion, his best period of films, before he started going very over the top with a lot of his films. This wasn't that. It is unique amongst Cheng Che films, at least particularly his later films, in that, I mean, the movie is an hour and 55 minutes long, and it's not a ton of just slashing and killing and ass-kicking. It actually takes a lot of time to help develop the characters, though arguably somewhat simplistic that they may be in some regards. it spends a lot of time to actually build the characters, to build the relations, to make it even more awesome when these things eventually occur, which is awesome. But I mean, it's just great in all those regards and more, that I don't have time to go into all this time. But anyway, the bad. Let's go into the bad. God, I hate to say anything bad about this film. I really do. I hold it in such high regards. Another good thing about this film is that the really great thing about it is that it created such an awesome character. And I don't mean that just in the light of, like, well, the One Armed Swordsman is awesome. He is awesome. But in creating the One Armed Swordsman, they created a character very much in the light of, like, Zatoichi, the Blind Swordsman, Japanese series of films. Very much created a character that superseded the film that he was in, and was thus able to go on and do, quite a few films and all that. And that really is to the credit of Cheng Chad, the director of the film, also the screenwriter of the film and all that and everything, and to Jimmy Wang Yu for doing such an excellent job of portraying the character. So that's another good thing. The bad, I guess if I was gonna, I really can only nitpick this film, for me anyway. I guess there are a few transitional points that do come off as maybe a little bit jagged compared to some of the other ones. Some of the later films that Shang-Chi would have done, he definitely got better transitioning in certain regards. Also, there are certain things that you have to take in good faith. This is definitely one of those films that if you're going to beat it to death for every little thing that it does, you really have to enjoy it for what it is, or otherwise you're not going to enjoy it at all, unfortunately. And like I said, I've met people on both ends of the spectrum, including myself, who I really enjoy the film for exactly what it is, and I've met people who cannot let the things go. I mean, just the fact that, like, the sword catcher thing, it's very much the, it's definitely, I mean, it's great for what it is, but at the same time, it's a fairly simplistic kind of means to move the story along in some ways, and you do at times kind of look at it and say, well, why don't they just change their tactics up? And yes, that does occur to me too, but again, because I love this film for what it is, and I'm willing to just take it in stride. But again, not everybody is. I guess some of the other things, again, something that really doesn't bother me, but does seem to bother a lot of people, or maybe not a lot of people, but generally the people who I've talked to who aren't fans of this film, the choreography is kind of dated. Like I said, Jimmy Wang Yu, not a bad physical actor, but not really a martial artist. And again, it was just very early on in martial arts choreography. And so, if you can't get past that, you really will not be able to enjoy the film, unfortunately. I wish I could say that you could, but that does tend to be a turning point for most people. For me, again, I had no problem with it. I love the camera tricks, I love the way they did it. But again, I'm trying to be at least, somewhat objective. Somewhat. And so I guess that's, that's pretty much my take on the film, as it were. So okay, where does it stand on the list? The eternal, or the scale. Where does it stand on the eternal scale? The very bottom of the scale, being well underneath my foot, being, of course, Ninja Revenge, the absolute bottom. And the top, the absolute top, let's put it at 10. What's a 10? A 10 is... 10 is them going over there having cryogenically frozen Jimmy Wang Yu so that in the future they can de-age him and he can make more One Armed Swordsman films. Where does this film stand? For me, and I completely admit that I'm not being objective at all in this, I'm going to give this film a 9.8, putting it at the highest rating that I've ever given a film, and to be entirely honest, I could have given this film a 10. But again, I was willing to admit to just a few little things that personally, for the most part, don't bother me, but trying to be at least somewhat objective. So I'm giving it a 9.8. What's a 9.8? 9.8 is like them cryogenically freezing Jimmy Wang Yu for the future where they can de-age him, but he doesn't want to do any more One Armed Swordsman films, so he just does other films. Sure, why not? That's a 9.8. So that's what I'm going to give this film. It is a truly epic film. I cannot say enough good things about it. Like I said, I'm going to have my special features thing where I'm going to go more into certain things. The casting is great. The lighting is great. Again, it's a film you're either going to love or you're going to hate, and I hope that you'll love it. I really do. I mean, if I can share these things with you, and if any of you are thus become inclined to watch some of these things or whatever, please watch, and please, if possible, enjoy this film, because it is so worth enjoying. It is such an epic film. It creates such an epic character. So yeah, that's my thing on the One Armed Swordsman. In light of being the one-armed reviewer, and because I am the one-armed reviewer who used the Future Kick against the Spirited Killer, who in return countered with the Tai Chi Fist in Cold Vengeance. For all these reasons and more, folks, I'm Brandon Wenzel. I review martial arts films, even one-armed, because of course, I know Kung Fu. And as a quick thing, please again, special features thing, traditions.us, Kings of Kung Fu on Facebook, and Martial Arts Kids. Alright folks, have a good one.